Hello, welcome to my channel. My name is Brandy and this is Mama Indica Crafts. Thank you so much for joining me today. Today is Monday, April the 1st, 2024, and this is Flosstube number 4. I just want to start by thanking everyone who has joined me here to watch my videos, liked, subscribed, left lovely comments. I just really appreciate you spending some of your day with me. It means a lot. This is a channel mostly about cross-stitch, although you will see some of my other hobbies and projects and crafts here and there. I am a dabbler. They know me well at the craft stores. And I do have to look at my notes from time to time. I am a scatterbrain. I get very lost without them. Little bit about me. I am in my 30s. I live in Colorado with my fiance John and my 22-year-old son Lennon. I am a full-time caregiver for Lennon. He had a stroke a few years ago when he was 17. This is due to a genetic condition. But he's doing much better than the doctors anticipated. To be honest, they didn't expect him to recover half as well as he has. He does have some seizures and a few little deficits here and there, so he does require supervision and care. I'm just very grateful that I was in a position to be able to go and get my CNA when this happened so that I could transition from the work that I was doing in customer service over to being his full-time caregiver. I feel very lucky that I was able to do that. And it's the best job I've ever had. I get to spend all of my time with my absolute favorite person in the world. Let's see. So, you may hear him in the background from time to time. I like to warn about that. He has some vocal tics. So if you hear weird noises or what sounds like people yelling in the background, nothing bad is happening. It's just Lennon. He makes those noises sometimes. You may also hear my dog Zeus whining. He is a stinky little ham sandwich who does not like it when he's not getting my full attention. So you may hear some whining here and there. The chaos is unavoidable, such is life. I think today we're probably going to go over my finishes for March. I have a few FFOs in there. I did flat finishes for the first time. That was a lot of fun. We'll go over what I worked on in March that I haven't finished, including some new starts, and even a few that I didn't expect to start. And then we'll go over some plans for the next 2 weeks. Which brings me to one of the changes that you're going to see in the video today. We are going to start filming every 2 weeks instead of monthly. I just feel like I'll be able to get a little bit better of an update in there that way. And I'm going to be changing the way that I select my projects as well. So we'll get through all of that, but I think it's going to make stitching even more fun for me. So I'm going to start by going in to my FFOs. And now I feel like I'm getting the hiccups, and I really hope I don't, because I don't want to have to restart this video again. We will start with my FFOs that I have for the month. And 2 of them are for John, my fiance, and then 1 is for my mom. We'll start with, let's see, this one. So our first FFO is going to be Guy Fieri. It says, "There is no good or evil, only flavor." And I found this cool pepper fabric at Joann's along with this trim. And he's not perfectly even. I'm still getting the hang of everything. And for some reason, and if anybody has any advice on how to fix this problem, please comment below and let me know. But there is this crease that I could not get out of this fabric. No matter how much I tried, I wet it, I washed it, I let it dry, I ironed it, I steamed it, and the crease just came back. So I'm just curious if anybody else has experienced that with Ada and how they were able to get rid of that, because I'd like to keep that from happening on future projects if I can. So this pattern is by, like I said, I have to have my notes. This project is by Descent Stitch on Etsy. It is 2/1 full DMC on white 14 count Aida. I did not write down for some reason when I started him. I do know that I finished him earlier this year, and now he's a final finish as of March 29th is when I did these finishes. And my husband is a chef, or fiance is a chef, and he's going to take that to work and hang it up in his kitchen for his kitchen crew. I know it's going to get ruined in a kitchen, but it's his, so he can do with it what he would like. My next finish is also for him. And that is this guy here. It's called Send Nudes. Lovely Ramen Noodles by Fordham Cross Stitch. It's a 2/1 full cross in DMC. Now I did change, I believe the outline was supposed to be black, if I'm not mistaken, and I changed it to this brown because I liked it better on the fabric. It's a dark khaki 14 count Aida. And I found this fabric in the fat quarters at Walmart. And I just thought it was perfect. Let's see, I started this one in December of 2022, and I finished it in October of last year. And now it's a fully finished object. So John can finally hang it on the wall. When we first got together, he ate a lot of ramen noodles. Like a lot. It's become a running joke. If I see anything with ramen noodles on it, I have to get it for him. And he laughs at me for it. But my last FFO is a pattern I found online at gather.how, I think is where I found it. It's by Susan Bates. And this one is for my mom. And it's just a happy birthday with a nice little heart full of lavender. And let's see, I started that one in March of 23 and finished it in June of 23. And I spent many, many months looking for a frame that would fit it because I don't have a lot of money for custom framing. There's a few pieces that I am saving up for custom framing for, but there's some of the, bigger, more time-consuming pieces that I really want to preserve. So I figured my mom would like it hanging up like this. So those are my FFOs for this month. I have a couple of finishes for the month as well. My first one, let's see, when did I start that? My first one I started January 19th of this year, and I finished it February 28th, so just a couple of days after my last video. And this is the Love My Dog Quaker by Romy's Creations. Now, I did a color conversion to Be Stitch Me Silks in this lovely 90s inspired color palette. This is 2/1 full cross on a 16 count Be Stitch Me Aida in Nightshade. This was my first time working with silks, and it was just such a lovely experience. They're just so soft and nice to work with. I'm doing the Love My Cat Quaker on the same fabric with the same floss, and I'll be showing you that a little bit later. And I will insert a picture of the original Love My Dog Quaker with the original colors, as Romy's Creations has charted it, just so you can see what it was going to look like. So that's my first finish. And I'm probably going to do this as a flat finish and hang it up next to the Love My Cat when it gets done. My next finish was started January 10th of 2024. I finished it March 24th. And this is my Rainbow Bright. Now, I converted her over to Classic Colorworks 2/1. And this is a 14 count Ada by Picture This Plus. This is Demoiselle. Why is my ring light going out? Let me see if I can get this to go back on. Well, I mean, it's kind of there. Okay. Stay on. Is it a timer or something? What is happening here? That's the second time my ring light has gone off, and the first time I restarted my video, but I'm just not doing that again. So the Demoiselle, I can't get the color to show up very well, but it has greens and blues and pinks and purples, and I felt like it just looked perfect for Rainbow Bright. Now I am going to do all of the color kids and sprites, but most of them are just going to be in the called for DMC. I'm doing Rainbow Bright and Twink in the Classic Color Works. But yeah, I think she turned out nice. This is from a book from 1985 called Color the World with Love. It's by Designs by Gloria and Pat. And I got that book on eBay last year. And I love the book. It has so many cute designs in it. It has all of the color kids, all of the sprites. It even has Murky. Like, it has everybody. So that's all my finishes. Which I would say is pretty good. 2 finishes and 3 FFOs is definitely better than I normally do in a month. So I'll take it. Sorry for the interruption. My ring light went out. My dog started barking at the cat. I had to cut that out. Hopefully I can figure out how to piece 2 clips together. I haven't done that before, but we're gonna. So I left off, we did my finishes before the ring light cut out. So now we're gonna move into whips. So this is what all I've worked on since my last video. So we're gonna start with whip go calls. We've got March's whip go calls that I worked on all month. And then I have April's whip go calls that I've worked on for the last 5 days. So we'll start with March. The first one is by Cute Patterns by Maria. And I'm going to pop the picture up on the screen of what it's going to look like when it's done. This is called Halloween Set Trick or Treat. It is 12,307 stitches for those who like statistics. I started the month at 1,274. My goal was 2,500 to get to 2,500, which would have been 1,226 stitches. I got to 1,854, which wasn't quite my goal, but So this is 2/1 full cross DMC on a 20 count Lugana in this really pretty lilac color. It is not showing up on camera nearly as purple as it is in person. But that's that one. So I didn't quite meet my goal there, but there's always next time. My next whip go call for March is a self-drafted pattern, and I'll pop a picture up of the mock-up of what it's supposed to look like when it's done. It's never been stitched before, so I don't have a stitched view. This one is 17,711 stitches. I drafted it from a photo I found on Google, and the photo is by Athena McKenzie. It is 3/1 tent stitch DMC. There are some blends. It is on a 20 count white Lugana, which I really wish I had found hand-dyed fabrics before I started this, because I think it would look better on something other than white, but we're going to keep moving with it. So I started the month with 13,999, and my goal was to get to 15,800. I got to 14,502. So that one I also did not meet my goal on, but you'll see later why I did not, and one of the reasons was Rainbow Bright. So I wasn't planning to finish her this month, but when I hit my goal for the month and I saw how close I was to finishing, I felt like I had to finish her. So I focused on that and didn't focus so much on some of my WIP Go calls. So WIP Go for April has already been called. It was called on the 25th, so I've had about 6 days to work on the pulls for that. The first one that I've worked on is by Light Unicorn Designs. It's called Succulent Heart. Now I'll pop up a picture, of course, of what it's going to look like. This is 2/1 full cross DMC. This is on a 14 count Aida. I believe it's by Picture This Plus, just based on where I remember it being in the fabric room at my LNS. This was actually the first hand-dyed fabric I bought. But the tag that the LNS put in with it didn't have the dyer, but I'm pretty sure this is a Picture This Plus. And I know it's not going to show up the right color on camera because purples never do, but it is such a pretty mottled purple. And I got to 19,951 stitches, which was one above my goal for the 5 days that I've worked on it so far. And I only worked on it for one, but I've had 5 days to work on it. So I put in 69 stitches in the half an hour that I picked it up. I think I'll set my goals towards the end of the video. We'll go over that towards the end. But I will definitely be working on this more because it's my WIP Go call for April. Well, one of them. The second WIP Go call for April is a pattern by Lindy Stitches, and this is called Walk Fast. It is a quote from Golden Girls, from Rose Nyland, who is, if not my favorite, she's tied for favorite with Dorothy. But I absolutely love her, and I'll pop a picture of what it's going to look like when it's finished. It is a 10,707 stitches total. I'm starting the month with 2176, and I have already put in 385 stitches in the last 5 days to get me up to 2561. So that's where I'm at with that. And it's going to look so beautiful when it's done. But I've never done anything with a border like this that's so repetitive. And I've decided that it's a lot like grinding in video games. And I had to explain that to my fiance last night. It's very tedious and repetitive, and you're having to do it over and over and over, but it is required to get to the end goal. So that's kind of how I feel about repetitive borders, I've decided. But I love it. It's just, the colors are so pretty, and it's going to look so nice when it's done. It is 2/2 classic color works on a 32 count Lugana in Sahara Dust that I got from Needlework with Jim on Etsy. I started in February 5th of 2024, and yep, I'm at 2561 right now. So I'll plop that there. And that moves us into some of our non-WIP Go WIPs for the month. Let's do Pokemon next. So, actually no, let's do Mario next, because Pokemon is behind him. So we'll go with the pattern that started it all. So after Lennon's stroke back in 2019, I decided I needed to find something to occupy my time and my hands a little bit more. And I found this pattern. And it's not this exact pattern, but I found the map to Super Mario World on Sprite Stitch. It was a free pattern. And so I started it. I didn't know a lot about fabric or measuring or anything like that when I started it back in 2019. And I worked on it for about 2 years, put a lot of work into it, and realized that my fabric wasn't long enough. So I had put in, I think, 3 pages across, and then I was going down. And when I got to the bottom, I realized that it wasn't long enough. So I had to restart it. And then when I restarted it, there was another accident issue. I honestly don't remember why I restarted it twice now, but I have restarted it twice. And this time that I restarted it, I went with a paid pattern by Boxcat Shop on Etsy. And the only reason I did that is the free pattern, all of the water around the map, and I'll pop up a picture of the one that I'm working. And if I have a picture of the free one, I'll pop it up too so that you can see the difference. So the free one has these little waves in the water. And I didn't want to do those again. They bothered me. So I switched over to the Boxcat Shop version because the water is solid. Other than that, I think the patterns are very, very similar. I think that the color palette was simplified a little bit, maybe. I think there were a couple of changes, but not a lot. But so I started the pattern by Boxcat Shop on Etsy back in December of 2022. I did measure correctly this time. Yay. My phone, I probably should have mentioned this earlier because I would be putting up pictures of what everything looked like at the beginning of March, but I discovered that the SD card in my phone was faulty. And this happened last month where my pictures just disappeared and I could not figure out why they were just gone. And it happened again. But I've replaced my SD card because I'm pretty sure that that's the reason. Because some other things went missing too. And I think my SD card just doesn't want to store anything. So hopefully next month you will have actual progress pictures. But I will include a picture of the last time I took this out of the Q-Snap. Now, in the month of February, I finished the Forest of Illusion. And at the beginning of March, I was at 22,788 stitches, all black. And my goal was 25,500. So this is the other reason I did not hit my goal on some of these things. Because instead of going to 25,500, I got to 26,000. I really, really, really wanted to finish the black. And I'm so close. All I have is just a little bit right here. About 500 stitches of black left. So that's going to be done this week. I am so excited. And then I get to start on color. So this one is the biggest project that I'm doing by far. It's 504 stitches by 504 stitches. So it is 254,016. I have completed 26,146, so I am over 10%, which was a big milestone for me. It's 3/1 anchor for the black because I wanted the outline to be really nice and bold, but all of the color is going to be 2/1 in DMC. But yeah, if you're interested in the free pattern, that's going to be Funky Monkey on Sprite Stitch. And if you go into the boards in Sprite Stitch, you can find all sorts of really cool, like video game based cross stitch patterns. And probably some other pop culture. Video games is just the area that I was always in. And they also have all of the mini maps for Super Mario World. Funky Monkey did. But like I said, this one is going to be Boxcat Shop on Etsy. And it doesn't have those little waves in the water. The pattern is just a little bit less tedious. But I still can't wait to get that black done so I can get the color going. So that pattern is for my son. He is a Mario fanatic. He's been into Mario literally since he was 3 years old and played Super Mario World for the first time. And so this pattern is definitely for him. I have no idea how I'm going to finish it yet. I am either going to have to pay a lot of money for a custom frame because it's going to be 31.5 by 31.5. Or I was thinking of stretching it like a canvas, potentially. But I have quite a while to really put some thought into that before I'm going to be done because I think the last time I looked, I was projected to be finished sometime in 2028. So I've got a few years. I'm hoping it doesn't take me that long, but according to statistics, that's how long the math thinks it's going to take me. Um, so that's the Mario, and I'm actually going to set it on this side so I can get better access to what's behind it. So my next pattern that I worked on this month is my stitch along, one of my stitch alongs. It is the Moon Phase Temperature Stitch Along by Climbing Goat Designs on Etsy. And I'm behind, but it's not because it's not an amazing chart. It's beautiful, it's fun to stitch, but the lighting in my apartment is really poor. And it's hard for me to see on this fabric. It's a beautiful fabric. It's probably my favorite fabric that I've purchased so far. But for some reason, my eyes just don't want to see the holes with the lighting that I have. So I'm looking at getting a stand light or a magnifier or something to solve this problem. But I wanted to get up to March 10th with the moons, and I did not. I got up to February 10th. But I got 13 moons done since my last video. So this is, like I said, it's by Climbing Goat Designs, and they charted it for pretty much every time zone on the planet. So no matter where you live, you can buy this stitch along, and the moon phases for each day will match where you are in the world, which I think is amazing. And then, each moon has a high and low temperature based on the shaded and the illuminated portions. So this is where I am. And I'm already loving how this is going to look. This is on a 16 count Aida in Envy by Witches Gardens Crafts. And I was afraid it wasn't going to show up well on camera because it hasn't in the past, but today it actually seems to be showing up fairly true to color. The border is 2/1 in DMC, full cross, and then my moons are all Cosmo, 2/1 full cross. I had a bunch of Cosmo left over from a temperature cross stitch that I attempted last year, but my fabric didn't come in until June. So I was very far behind, and I never got caught up, and I gave up on that. It was the Magic Bottles, Potion Bottles stitch along. I'm sure most of you have seen it, and if not, I will see if I can find it again so I can pop up the information. It's a beautiful pattern, and I probably will do it at a different time in the future after this year. But I have to start at the beginning of the year with that one because some of the bottles are pretty large for each day. With this, at least the moons are tiny, so I know I can get caught up in the next couple months, especially if I can get a good light. And I will post a picture of a mock-up of what it looks like for one region of the world for one person. But mine obviously is going to have different colors and different phases. So that's the moon phase stitch along. You can go there for now. That seems reasonable. Hi, sorry about the cuts. I'm going to try to figure out how to splice multiple clips together. We will see how that works out for me. But my dogs keep doing things that demand me to get up and go away from the camera. So, if I'm a little frazzled, I apologize. I'm trying to remember where I was before I got so rudely interrupted by a stinky ham sandwich. So I think we were about to start on Pokemon. So one of my full coverage projects for March was Epic Pokemon Gen 1. This pattern is by Lord Libiden. It is free, so if you are paying for this pattern, somebody is scamming you. I'm not doing the original pattern, however. So there's a Facebook group called Pokemon Cross Stitchers, and in the files of that group, they have a ton of these patterns. I think they have all of Lord Libiden's patterns. And then they have a few additional ones that I hadn't seen before, including this. This is a recolor. So some of the pink characters in the original were a little brownish, I was told. The colors just weren't quite accurate. So someone went in and did a color correction, and they used about 250 colors, which is what you see hanging behind me. This is my Pokemon, and then this was Moon's. I have changed the background color, though, because on the recolor, the color corrected version, the background is split red and blue, and I just didn't care much for that. So I'm doing the whole background in a dark purple. I think it's either 550 or 552. 550 is my background color. So I'm going to pop up a picture of what it's going to look like when it's complete. Obviously with a different background color. I started the month with I started it in general December 28th of 2023. This is 2/1 tent stitch DMC on a 25 count graded Lugana. 115,200 stitches, and my goal was to get to 7,500. I started at 5,947 and I got up to 6,367. So I did about 420 stitches on this project. And it is not on my goals list for next month, although I may pick it up and work on it if I feel so inclined. But it's not in with goals. So that's Pokemon. Next up is a different stitch along that I've been doing, and this is Blackwork. So this is the 2024 Blackwork stitch along by Peppermint Purple. And it is a free stitch along if you join their Facebook group. I don't know if you have to join it by a certain time. I'm not sure if it's too late. But I'm doing mine on a 14 count Ada in Midnight by Witches Gardens Crafts. I've got my framework done. The frame is done in Taste the Rainbow by Live and Die LA. It is probably my favorite, like, true rainbow floss. Let me show you. It's already cut, so it may not. But it literally has the whole spectrum. Red, orange, yellow, green, blue, and purple. Just perfect rainbow. And then the fill-ins, I will be doing the little cross stitches in the rainbow. And then the solid colors for the actual black work will be done in some Weeks Dye Works that I had stashed from Pride Project back in the beginning of 2023. It wasn't really a Pride. It wasn't. It wasn't for Pride Month, but it was a Pride project. So I have gotten week 1 complete. I have started on week 2. I didn't really have a goal on this one. This one I'm not really setting goals all that much. I'm just gonna try not to be too far behind on it. But yeah, that's the Blackwork stitch along. And I'm loving the rainbow colors up against the black background of the fabric. I think it's gonna really pop when it's done. And since it's gonna be 7.7 by 7.7 inches, I'm thinking I can just do an 8x8 frame and it'll look great. So I'm excited about being able to frame something with a standard size frame, because most of my projects are not going to be able to be a standard size frame that you can just find at the craft store. So that moves me through all of the WIPs that weren't new starts for March. Now we're going into new starts, which was where I also focused more of my energy instead of meeting some of my other goals. So I'm going to start with the two new starts that I didn't plan on starting. Because I had two new starts planned for the month, and I did start them, but I started two more as well. So the first one that I started, I said we would revisit this. I had finished the Love My Dog Quaker, and I decided that I wanted to go ahead and get started on the Love My Cat Quaker because I didn't want to cut the fabric until both pieces were complete, and I want to go ahead and get them finished and hanging on my wall. So I went ahead and started Love My Cat. Since it was an impulse start, I just set a goal of 1,000 for this one. And just like Love My Dog, I have done a color conversion over to Be Stitch Me Silks in my little early 90s color palette. I got up to 1,004 stitches, so I did meet my goal there, out of 2,945. So I'm 34%. It'll be flat finished with Love My Dog, and it's the same 16 count Be Stitch Me in Nightshade for the fabric, 2/1 full cross. So yeah, that's where that is. And I will also pop up a picture of this so you can see the original colors that Romy's Creations charted it in. And I might pop up a little mock-up of what mine should look like, possibly, if I can get a decent one going. So that's this. My next unplanned new start was I went to my LNS in Denver, which is dangerous for me to do. It really is. But my fiance wanted to go out because he wanted to help his buddy build a computer. And Micro Center is in Denver, but so is a stitching shop. So, of course, I took the opportunity. I'm like, oh, I'll take you to Micro Center. I'll drop you off at your friend's house to build the computer, and I'll just go spend that time at the LNS. So I did, and of course I found a project that I just couldn't live without. This is called Honey Fair. It's by October House Fiber Arts, and I'll pop up a picture of what it's going to look like when it's done. This is 2/2 in called for Gentle Arts Classic Colorworks and Weeks. It's on a 28 count Jobelin in Bittersweet, although I don't know the dyer because they didn't put it on the card, and I don't know their fabric room well enough to remember what dyer it is. But if you know who does Jobelin and Bittersweet, that's who did this fabric. And my goal was 1,000 because it was the impulse start, and I got to 1,084. So I'm almost done with the little beehive. And I think it's just going to look so cute when it's done. I look forward to this one getting called again so I can pull it back out and work on it some more. I just really wanted something with bees or honey for spring, and that one just jumped out at me. So those were my two unplanned new starts for March. My planned new starts, the first one is by Heartstring Samplery. And I really like a few of their coffee series, and I bought the Coffee Quaker pattern as well, so I'm going to be doing that one probably when I'm finished with this one. But the one I started is Coffee Drinker's Confession. I'll pop the picture up to show you what it's going to look like when it's done. Like I said, this is by Heartstring Samplery. It is 2/2 full cross in Gentle Arts Classic Colorworks and Weeks on a 28 count Lugana in Autumn by Needlework with Jim on Etsy. And I really like his fabrics. I like the colors that he does, and his customer service is great. So you'll see me have several fabrics from him. In any event, the whole pattern is 2,947 stitches. My goal was to hit 1,500. I wanted to make sure I got up to 50%, and I got 1,543. So I am at 52%. And it says, I don't have a problem with coffee, I have a problem without coffee. And ain't that the truth? So that is that one. And I do love this fabric for the color palette. I think that the reds and the browns just really pop. I'm probably going to end up ordering another piece of this fabric for the Coffee Quaker because I like it so much with these floss colors. And Coffee Quaker uses, I believe, the exact same color palette, if I remember right. So that is Coffee Drinker's Confession. My other planned new start was by Cottage Garden Samplings. And I'm just testing out a lot of different designers. I'm trying to find which styles and designs and designers and, what I enjoy stitching the most, what fabric I enjoy the most. I'm just trying to find my groove. So this one is, and I think 28 to 32 count is probably my groove on fabric. I've decided that much. So this one is by Cottage Garden Samplings. It is part of their Year in the Woods series. This is number 4, the raccoon. And I will put the picture up of what it should look like when it's finished. This is 2/2, called for DMC and Weeks on a 28 count Lugana in Pale Peach. I got this one from Needlework with Jim also. It has 7,288 stitches. My goal was 1,500. And I got to 1496 and I called it done because I didn't want to start a new thread on it last night for 4 stitches. Yeah, I felt like I was close enough to the goal to call it met. And we'll just keep working on it next time. So yeah, I've got the tail not completely done. The tail goes pretty far down. And I've got some of the flowers. I'm probably going to finish the bottom half before I go work on his big fat raccoon body. So cute. So that's that one. And that is, oh wait, that's not all of my whips. I pulled this one out and I put about 40 stitches in it. Since I finished Rainbow Bright, I decided to pull out Patio Green, which was the other color kit I had started. And I put just a handful of stitches in her face. But she's going to be worked on quite a bit more throughout this month. And we'll get to that when we get into plans a little more. So, for plans, we'll start with WIP Go plans. Sorry for the flash if I made you shake. So the WIP Go calls for April were Succulent Heart that we showed a moment ago, and I'll pop it up again since I've got it. That was this one right here, Succulent Heart. We'll pull up the picture of what it's going to look like when it's done. So that we have, right now I'm at 19,951 stitches out of the 41,600, and I want to get, in the next 2 weeks before my next video, I would like to get to 20,200. So 249 stitches in the next 2 weeks on this one, which I think is definitely doable. So yeah, we're going to get some work done on the Succulent Heart. And just so you don't have to hear me go over it again, I'm going to pop up on the screen a little information text that just has the fabric count and all of that information for my plans that I've already gone over, manufacturer and all that stuff. So there's that one. My other WIP Go call was Walk Fast, which is the Lindy Stitches piece. So that one, I am at 2,561 out of 10,707, so I'm 23.92%. My goal for the next 2 weeks is to get up to 3,600. So I would like to do 1,039 stitches on this one in the next 2 weeks before my next video. Which brings me also into the way I'm choosing my patterns now, my projects, for the 2 weeks that I'm working. So obviously WIP Go is going to rotate every month. Mario is going to be around year round, so are my stitch alongs. I will always be working on a Rainbow Bright, and when I finish one, I'll start in on a new one. But I wanted to have a couple more projects. I wanted to be able to pull from my WIP pile every video. So every 2 weeks, I put a little wheel spin app on my phone, and I put all of my WIPs into it. And I'll throw my new starts in there each month too, once they become a WIP. And I'll spin, and I'll just pick 2 projects for the 2 weeks that way. So my wheel spins, and since I film on my phone, I can't do it on camera. I am looking at getting a camera, but for now, you'll just have to trust me that the wheel told me that my projects for this month are going to be the Year in the Woods raccoon, which let me pull it back out, which is starting today with 1,496 stitches. I would like to get to 2,400 by the end of the 2 weeks. So I would like to get 904 stitches done, which should, I think, if not finish his tail, come really close to it. So that's my goal for the raccoon for the next 2 weeks. And then the other wheel spin that got called is my yellow submarine from Blackbird Designs. Now this one I'm going to pop a picture up of what it's going to look like when it's finished. And my son's name is Lennon. Obviously I love the Beatles, so when I saw this pattern, I'm like, I must stitch this pattern. Like I said, it's by Blackbird Designs. I'm doing it 2/2 in the Call for Gentle Arts on a 28 count Lugana. And this Lugana is in the color Mystical Seas by Needlework with Jim. And I love it because it looks like water. So I am starting the month with 2,518 stitches. And I started this one back in January, I think. Did I do this one in January or February? I'll have to look that up. But I started at 50.4%. And this is where I'm at. This is 50.4%. And the fabric is a little more blue than what it's showing up on camera. Just slightly, though. It's still very gray. Okay, where you see the corner now, that's a little more accurate to what the color actually looks like. My goal for the next 2 weeks is to get it up to 3,500. So I want to do 982 stitches on this guy in the next 2 weeks. So I'm probably going to work on finishing out the submarine, I think is what I'm going to focus on for this period. Yeah, so I love this pattern. I also am going to be doing a couple other patterns from the Magical Mystery Tour series from Blackbird because I love them. I just actually purchased, what was that? Oh, sorry. I just actually purchased, and you'll see it in haul, another one of the patterns from that series, and I got some of the floss for it, which it uses some of the same colors that Yellow Submarine does, and I believe I'm going to have enough floss left over from Yellow Submarine for it. But we'll get to that with haul. So next up, my goal for my full coverage is changing. Instead of focusing on Pokemon, I'm going to be focusing on one of the mini maps from Super Mario World that I had started. When did I start that? Back in July of last year. To be honest, I wanted to work on Mario, but I was getting really tired of just doing black outline. So I switched over and started working on one of the mini maps. So this is the first mini map. This is Yoshi's Island. And this one, sorry for the dangling thread. This one is a free pattern off Sprite Stitch by Funky Monkey. And I'll pop a picture up of what it's going to look like for those of you who aren't familiar with Mario World. It is 2/1 full cross DMC on 20 count Lugana. I gridded it myself. I will be honest, in hindsight, I probably would have selected a 25 count pre-gridded for this. But I've already committed, and I like the size that this is going to be because I had it written down. I guess not. I just like the size that it's going to be for it to surround the big map. It's kind of the vision I have. But in any event, this is where I'm starting the month. I have 234 stitches just up in the corner there. And these are the little waves that I was talking about being in the background of the big one. And I just don't want to do 10,000 tiny little waves for the big one. It's fine for the mini maps. My goal in the next 2 weeks is to get this up to 750 stitches. So I want to get 516 done here in the next 2 weeks. So that is that one. My Rainbow Bright project is Patio Green, like I showed you. I'll pop up the picture of her when she's complete. Now, oh, I forgot to tell you a minute ago. This is a self-dyed 14 count Ada. I just used Rit dye to pull out the greens and a little bit of that turquoise from the center of her dress. Like I said, I just don't like stitching on white that much anymore. So she is at 656 stitches right now. And my goal for the next 2 weeks is to get her up to 1,000. So 344 stitches in the next 2 weeks. We'll meet my goal with Patio Green. Which brings me to Super Mario World map, the main one. So obviously I'm going to be finishing the black in the next few days. We are at 26,146 stitches today. And in the next 2 weeks, I would like to get up to 28,000, which is about a little over 1,800 stitches. I want to finish the black, and then I want to start in on the color. I still haven't decided exactly how I'm going to tackle the color, if I'm going to go one color at a time and complete each color, or if I'm going to work just a section at a time. I haven't gotten that far, but I guess we'll see next week. So that's my goal with this one. My moon phase stitch along. Hopefully I can get a light. But we are at February 10th right now. And I would like to get through March the 3rd in the next 2 weeks. Which is quite a bit. That's 21 or 22 moons in 14 days. But if I really plug away at it and just do a couple of moons a day, I think I can meet that goal. Oh, and for those of you who are interested in needle minders, this is a handbook for the recently deceased needle minder, and that is from Grandma Girl Designs on Etsy. And yeah, I love her needle minders. I have, let's see, yep, it's on here. I have a Six Sad World from Daria as well. And she has so many cool pop culture needle minders. I've just taken, I make my own a lot of the times from pins or buttons that I find. And now I have to plug my phone in, so give me 1 second. There we go. Okay. And I lost where I was for a second because my phone started to die on me. But I believe if I do a couple of moons a day, I'll be able to meet my goal there. I'm also going to work on my black work, stitch along a little bit. It is buried now, so I'm not going to try to pull it out again, but I'm going to get a little bit done on that. I have a couple of new starts planned for April, and I would love to show you those. Let me pull out my little box of haul because that's where everything lives. So my first new start that I'm going to be doing is for my mother. So my mother always says, I love you to the moon and back. And she lives in Florida. That's where I grew up. And I was looking for a pattern to do for her that I felt would look good in her house, that would be meaningful, that she would really like. And I came across this pattern by Needle Bling Designs, and I'm sorry for the glare, but it says, I love you to the beach and back. Which I just thought was perfect. I am changing the colors a little bit from the called for. Partially because I haven't really been enjoying working with weeks. It feels kind of dry. Does that make sense? I don't know. But I switched it mostly to Gentle Arts. And I changed the colors a little bit to match my mother's decor. So my mom collects Fiesta wear, which you'll probably hear me talk about on my channel a little bit too, because she has gifted most of her collection to me. And so I'm in the process of getting a little booth shop set up at our local antique mall. I'm on a waiting list to get in there so that I can start selling some of this very large Fiesta wear collection. I have a substantial storage unit right now just to hold all of it. But she kept what she uses, and then she kept a china cabinet full of like her favorite color scheme. So I picked some colors that would go well with that china cabinet. And the colors in her china cabinet are cobalt, sapphire, chartreuse, marigold, and turquoise, if you know Fiesta wear. So that is where the colors came from. Now I kept the color for the crab and the seahorse the same, but I kind of changed the other colors so that they would match her decor a little bit better. And this, I'm really excited about the fabric it's going on. This was my very first Be Stitch Me fabric of the month. I got this for February. It is called We Can't Elope. And it's just this beautiful corally orange color. Like, it's very melony, and I love it. And actually, let me get my little board because I feel like the colors aren't going to show up well otherwise. And it's showing up a little more orange than it is in person. It has a little more melon to it. But yeah, that's my colors for To the Beach and Back. So I'm looking forward to getting that one started. And like I said, this fabric is just so pretty. I'm supposed to get my March fabric of the month from Be Stitch Me today in the mail. And I'm so excited to see what color it's going to be. I think this month, I signed up for the Mix Club, so I believe this month will be a neutral. And this is the We Can't Elope is a 14 count Aida, but I switched my preference over to 28 or 32 count Lugana. I believe she's doing 28 count. So I'm just looking forward to seeing what I get for that one. So that's my first new start that I have planned. My second new start that I have planned is Also inspired. This one is more inspired by my mom. I don't know if I'm actually going to give it to her or if it's just going to hang up in my house and remind me of her. But growing up, she and my aunts and uncles worked on cotton farms. They were cotton pickers back in the 40s and 50s. My mom had 11 brothers and sisters. They grew up pretty poor. And yeah, they were out in the fields picking cotton, and they have a lot of great stories about it. And I feel like, I think growing up that way taught them a lot about work and gratitude. And that those are lessons that I feel like she's passed on to her kids. But, sorry, I get a little misty when I think about my mom. I really, really miss being around her all the time. But this pattern is, and I'm going to butcher this name because it's French and I don't speak French, Cour Batacour, or Cour-e Batacour, and it's Cotton Farm. And this is the pattern. Now I've altered the colors slightly to suit my preference. So her favorite color is yellow. So I dyed this fabric. This is a 28 count Jubilee that I've dyed this golden yellow. And I wasn't thrilled when I did a floss toss of how the called for blue shows up against the golden yellow. And when I ordered the floss for To the Beach and Back, I accidentally ordered 2 skeins of this Presidential Blue by Gentle Arts. So I am changing the blue in the pattern to this. I'm going to leave all of the DMC, the browns and the greens and the white. I'm going to leave all of that DMC, but the blue I'm changing over to this Presidential Blue. And I think that against the yellow is just going to really pop. So that's my second planned start for this month. It's a little mom-centric this month, I will admit. Let's put my things back in here. And then I have one more planned start. This one's also a planned finish. So for both of those, the To the Beach and Back and Cotton Farm, my goal is to hit 750 on each of those in the next 2 weeks. My goal for the third new start is going to be to finish it. If I can get my floss. It may have to wait until my next video, but it's probably going to be started and finished in the same period because it is only 541 stitches. So it's pretty small. And it is the molecular structure for psilocybin. And I'll pop a picture up on the screen. So the picture on the screen, it's a rainbow, but I'm not doing it that way. I'm going to do it as a solid, like electric lime green, because I think it's going to look really good on this fabric. And this is a self-dyed fabric. This is Rit dyed. So I'm going to go with, I mean, to be honest, I am torn whether I should go with a really bright electric lime green or like a golden yellow, similar to my shirt. I don't know. It all depends on what floss I find that I like in that time period. So that is my third planned new start. And that one is for John. And just so you're aware, mushrooms are legal in Colorado. You can grow them, you can eat them. You just can't sell them yet. So nothing naughty or illegal there. We have a lot of respect for the medicinal properties of certain plants that some people consider illicit substances. My that is it for my planned new starts. I have a little bit of haul beyond what I purchased for those new starts. So I plan to do the 9-banded Pride Sampler by Craft Experimentalist. I plan on doing that for my Pride Month piece this year. So I went on Fiberlicious Yummy Fibers, who I've never shopped with before, and I ordered the silk pack for that sampler. And let me show you these beautiful colors. Look at those colors. I am so excited to try, or not to try, to get started on that project. And now that I still have this piece of fabric in my lap, and now that I'm looking at that lime green against the fabric, I think we're going to go lime green. So yeah, I ordered the silks for them, and I've never used this type of silk. I've only used Be Stitch Me silk for silks. So I'm excited to try another dyer. And I've heard such great things about Fiberlicious Yummy Fibers that I'm just really excited to work with their product. I also went ahead and I'm not going to start this one until I am finished with Yellow Submarine, but I went ahead and I purchased Octopus's Garden by Blackbird Designs. And I also, sorry about the plastic wrestling, went ahead and purchased the flosses that I needed. Now, like I said, I have some of the colors already, but they're in with Yellow Submarine. But yeah, so that is my other haul. Let's see, I think that about covers everything for March. Now just to figure out how to splice all the pieces together. Sorry about the cut again. We had another moment. I think that about covers it for everything for March. Yep, I went through WIPs, I went through plans, I went through haul, new starts, finishes, a little bit of life. Yeah. So I guess that about does it for me for today. I will see y'all again in 2 weeks on April the 15th, I think. If my memory is right. It's either the 14th or 15th, whatever Monday is. But I will see y'all again then. If you're interested in continuing on my crafting journey with me, just hit the subscribe button and we'll see you next time. Bye.